Hello, my name is Jody Haney, and I own and operate a company called Xcite Learning, and we put together your soil kits. This is based on the Elementary Globe unit called the Scoop on Soils, and as a professional development provider, Xcite Learning, we train a lot of teachers in Elementary Globe and in the Globe program, and we've used these materials both with teachers and with students for a number of years. So this is very easy for us to recommend this unit and talk about how you might go about implementing these activities in your classroom. So this is the teacher's guide. You should have received the book that goes along with this, the children's nonfiction book called The Scoop on Soils. I think you received that at your professional development training, and if not, there's information inside about how you can order these on Amazon and or print a copy just by downloading it from the Elementary Globe website. All right, well, let's get started. Inside the cover, you will see that there's a materials list for you, and you should double check your kit and inventory it. We might have given you a few extras, but we certainly don't want to short you on anything. If anything is missing by any chance, you can reach out to me. I've put a card in the kit as well, and you can contact me at any time. Let me know that something wasn't quite right with your kit, and we will make it right. Or if you just want to let me know how things are going, send me photos, send me videos, anything you want to say. It's just helpful for us as we also work with other teachers in the future. So that's there for you. We're going to go ahead and talk through the 3 activities within this unit. The first one is called Getting to Know Soil, and Getting to Know Soil is really about having the children learn that sand, silt, and clay are the 3 main types of soil, and they're different in many different ways. And so the students are going to start exploring that. And one of the activities is called, the first activity is called Getting to Know Soil, and they're going to make observations about sand, silt, and clay. And we have samples of each of those in these small jars, marked sand, silt, and clay. And there's a little plastic blue scoop, could be white, but there's a scooper in here as well. And that scoop can be used to give each group of children a small white tray, observation tray, 1 scoop of that type of soil. And then you're also going to give them some materials that they can use in order to explore the soil. One is forceps, in case they want to poke around and pick things out or look at individual pieces. There's a pick that they can use to move things around. This is just a bamboo skewer. There is a water eyedropper and some plastic cups. So you could actually have them do some explorations, wet and dry, using the eyedropper and some water in a cup. And the cups are in here as well. There's many cups. And there's also a magnifying box. And we like these a lot. They're actually insect viewers, so you can use them dual purpose. But if the students just take a pinch of soil and put it in there and put the lid on the top, you can see that the top is a magnifier. So it's a really easy way for them to magnify their soil sample and look at it to get a closer look. And also they can take this off and use this and move this up and down to hand adjusting. That's where I was going with that. Okay, so that's there for you. What we recommend is that the teachers hand out the sand, silt, or clay samples one at a time, and these samples will last you for a very long time that way. So if you give the students sand first, have them make some observations using these materials, and then just have them put this sample back into the sand container, wipe it out with just a paper towel, then they can go to silt, and then they can go to clay, or whatever order that you want them to look at them with. But if they actually take and transfer the soil back into this container, then you'll have these for many years to come. If for some reason you run out of the sand, silt, or clay samples, you can contact us. We will let you know where we purchase those, and you can either purchase them on your own, or we could help you with that. That's totally up to you. We've also put in just 1 handheld microscope. You won't see this written up in the teacher's guide anywhere. It's just an enrichment activity. We really love these microscopes for young learners. After you power them on and read the instructions are here, which will tell you how to use these, but they're really quite simple. You power it on, and there's just 1 knob for the children to focus with. And what we really like about these microscopes is if they have a sample of soil here, if you take the microscope and actually put it all the way down on top of the soil. That's the biggest mistake that children make, is that they try to move this up and down. It's really hard to focus that way. So actually put it right down onto the sample itself, and then use the little knob to rotate it, and it'll bring the image into view. And kids really love these scopes. So do adults. I take them on vacation with me myself, just because I enjoy exploring the world around me. So we hope you enjoy these. It probably best as a teacher center, since you only have one, and you can help the children focus and monitor these. Another thing I'd like to tell you is that you can snap pictures and take video and playback and all of that with these digital microscopes. But what I often do is just use my cell phone, my smartphone, and I take pictures of the children's screens so that I can share them if I wanted to share them in a whole group setting. So we hope you really enjoy those. That's the first activity. The other thing I'd like to say is what I do is from the student sheet, you see the students are going to be looking at what they see, sand, silt, and clay, what they feel, sand, silt, and clay, and what they smell. And you can teach them how to waft and smell the soil, sand, silt, and clay to see if they smell any differences. What we like to do as an enrichment activity is I have them draw a line and have them draw what they see in the dry sample, and then also what it looks like with a wet sample. Now you could have them do this on the back side of the sheet of paper or somewhere else, but I just have them draw a line just for this first row of what I see, dry and wet. And then we allow them to put a couple drops of water on the soil sample. You'll have to let those dry out before you put them back into the container. That's the only downside of using the water with it. Okay, that's activity 1. The other part of activity 1 is called soil profiling, and what that means is layering the soil to see what layers fall first. So sand, silt, and clay, what's going to end at the bottom, what's going to be in the middle, and what's going to be at the top. So we have the students either bring in a backyard sample. We love it when they bring in soil samples from their home, not from a container, but really from the ground. And if they can't do that, they can always find a soil sample from the schoolyard, or the teacher can bring in some soil samples. But we have them, first this is the large container for the teacher for a demonstration. You can put just like about 2 fingers full of soil into this container, fill the rest up with water, leaving just maybe 1 finger at the top for air. Shake it up really good, and then watch those particles start to fall. Within 2 minutes, you'll start to see some layering happening. But really, it needs a day and maybe even longer. Where I live, we have a lot of clay, and it takes several days for this container to clear up. But then you can really see some nice layers at the bottom. We shine pen lights or even phone lights through this, flashlights, phone light, little pen light, so that you can really see those layers layering out. For the children, you have 8 of these containers, 1 for each group, and they can do the same thing. Put a little soil at the bottom. I usually say 1 finger of soil, fill it with water, leave 1 finger at the top for air, and then they can shake that up and do the same thing, and they can do that within their groups. And here you can see that they are making a 2-minute recording, a 10-minute recording, and then a 24-hour or more recording, and looking at how those things, again, those 3 types of soil layer out in that container. Then there's a flip book activity for the children to kind of recreate what they saw happening within those bottles. What I like to do, if you want an enrichment activity or a little extra challenge for students who are ready for that, is they could actually measure these layers in millimeters. You have little rulers within the kits, and they can measure those within millimeters, and they can determine how much sand, silt, and clay is in their sample based on that, which has more millimeters worth of measurement. And you could actually turn that into a percentage depending on where your children are mathematically. But it would be really great if they could come up with the percent of sand, percent of clay, percent of silt. They could graph it as a pie chart or as a bar chart or any way that you'd like them to represent that. But that's a really nice math connection there. Okay, activity 2 is called Soil Treasure Hunt. And a soil treasure hunt is just that. The children are going to go on a treasure hunt and figure out what is in the soil around them. And so the first activity says they're going to have a prediction or a question about soil, what they think is in the soil or what they want to know about soil. So it's just a nice little engagement activity to tap their prior knowledge about soil. And then they're going to record what they found in the soil. And again, they can use all the materials we talked about before, the magnifying lenses, the rulers, the forceps, the skewers, and so forth. And within this soil sample, this could be from the one that the teacher collects from the back of the schoolyard or anywhere in the schoolyard under a tree or wherever is easiest. And you do have a hand trowel, a hand shovel or a trowel in the kit for you to collect a sample for the students to utilize. The next activity is very similar, but this time you're going to explore different environments around the schoolyard. So the teacher may collect some samples, or the students could collect samples from under the tree, from underneath the basketball hoop or any other playground equipment, from a garden area within the school, just different areas. And then the children are going to do the same thing and look for what they found in that soil sample. We really want the children to explore very carefully, because we will want them to say, oh, it's just dirt or it's just soil. It's all the same. We really want them to make careful observations. They might find roots, they might find seeds, they might find insect casings, and maybe even dead insects themselves, along with other things, mulch pieces and so forth, little stones and rocks. So what we do is we have them either listed here, but for our very young learners, sometimes we just have them use this as like a artifact collection, and they tape using just Scotch tape. They tape their samples onto this board. They can label it as well. And our only rule is that they cannot tape any live animals onto their collection board. Okay, and then the final activity is called We All Need Soil. And then within this activity, you'll find a very large envelope. And within that large envelope, you see that there's many sets of these cards. Now, what we're going to ask you and your students to do is to cut out the cards. So each set is meant for one group of students, if you're going to have your students help. And they can get out their scissors and they can cut along the dotted lines and make their set of cards. And so there's going to end up being a quite large set when they're done. And we've given you these little envelopes that you can put each group's cards into. And you can see that it's a nice collection of cards. And what they're going to be doing with these cards is they're going to be grouping them, and you'll see that they're all color coded. So there's some group 1 cards, group 2 cards, group 3 cards, and so forth. And the instructions will tell you that they are going to make a sentence. So again, a very nice language arts connection, a sentence of how different organisms use or need soil. And so they will make a chain of words and connect them with pluses and equal signs, and create a sentence that tells them how different organisms need and use soil. So these, again, cards will be put into the envelopes, and you can use them for many years to come. An example of one of those might be something like seeds plus plants plus soil equals a garden, right? So they're using a group 1 card, a group 2 card, a soil card, and a food and home card. So another example would be the rabbits dig in the soil to make a burrow for its home. And to do that sentence, they would need the rabbit card, the dig card, the soil card equals a burrow card. So this will become more clear when you read the instructions, but they are making these sentences using cards and then writing the sentences out into complete sentences when they're done. Within this teacher's guide, you also have all the black line masters that are needed. So should you need to make copies for your students or need anything in the future, you have what you need right within this teacher's guide book. I think that's all of the information I have for you. There's a couple other pieces of equipment in here just for cleanup. So we have a very little broom and dustpan, but this is really nice to go around the desks and help clean up after the activity. The kids actually love using this, so I usually assign one person for the group to do cleanup for the day. Works out really well. And also we have these sieves that we haven't talked about. These sieves or sifters, just like you'd use at the beach, are really good at helping children see what's inside the soil. So activity number 2, the soil treasure hunt, when they're looking at the soil, they can use all the equipment that we talked about, plus these sieves, to really help kind of sift out the soil from some of the other things that remain in the soil. So there's enough of these, again, for 8. And while we're at it, we should talk about that. The equipment list shows that there are 8 sets of many things, and that means you could have 8 groups. So if you have 24 or so students, about 3 in a group, and I really like groups of 3. I think that's enough materials for that, and you won't have students who don't have something to do, right? Nothing worse than that. So we want them all engaged, all with their hands on. Sometimes we've given you 16 of some materials, like the magnifying lenses. That means 2 per group, so that, again, enough materials for everyone to stay engaged. So you'll see that sometimes we give you 1 of something, that's the kind of the teacher demonstration, 8 of something, the whole group needs to share it, and many things we give you 16 of that item, so that there's 2 sets with each group, keeping all kids engaged. Thanks so much for digging in, no pun intended, or maybe I should say pun intended. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out. We're happy to help and have fun exploring.